the Interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. It's National Coffee Cake Day, Tony. Just had some Sara Lee myself this morning. Are you a coffee cake guy?
I'm Tony Kornheiser. Nope. 100% beefcake, baby. Beefcake, that's me.
Does Sara Lee have beefcake? Do they make that?
I'm not certain, but I am certain of this, Mike, that nobody doesn't like Sara Lee, right?
Ooh,
Nobody.
you just reached back maybe into the 70s, maybe beyond?
Yeah, 50 years. Has to be 50 years for that slogan. Has to be 50. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Victor Wembanyama goes down, Wilson Contreras threatens the Brewers, and Scott Van Pelt joins us from Augusta for 5 good minutes. But we begin today with last night's NCAA championship game, which Michigan won 69-63 over UConn. This is Michigan's first championship since 1989. It's the Big Ten's first championship since 2000. It's the first time ever that Connecticut has lost the NCAA final. Previously, they were 6-0. Neither team shot well last night, but it was a competitive game. Wilbon, how do you see this Michigan team?
Tony, as a great team. A great team that beat worthy challengers. Goodness knows UConn is the most worthy of challengers given what we know about their recent history. And I want to give kudos to Michigan's athletic department for winning first in college football a couple of years ago, the national championship, and now basketball. And as a Big Ten alum, I'm both proud and jealous, I must say. But, Tony, if we're talking about comparing these Michigan teams, and that's where we always go, to other teams produced by the University of Michigan in basketball, great teams, they're not with the Fab Five of Chris Webber, Juwan Howard, and Jalen Rose. Not to me. And they're not even with necessarily that 1989 team, which had multiple pros and a couple of guys for more than a dozen years. And this team will have pros. And I give Dusty May all the credit in the world in this new era for pulling guys, the first one out of all out of the transfer portal, all of them, and putting together a title team. You got to do that on the run. That takes a certain creativity, a certain discipline, a stick-to-itiveness. Good for them. But am I putting them above the Fab Five? No, I'm not.
Yeah. All right. So yesterday on this show, I said that I thought that Michigan could win and should win, but that 7.5 points were too much for me. So I believe I got that right. UConn did everything they could do defensively. Michigan rolled into this game having scored 90 points or more in 5 straight NCAA tournament games. 5 straight. I mean, and they were held to 69 points by Connecticut. If Connecticut shoots well, they win. But Michigan plays defense too. Michigan held Connecticut, I believe, to 31% shooting from the field, 27% three, 9 of 33. And that's the worst shooting game UConn had all year. What do I think of Michigan? I think they're a worthy team. I think they're big and they're strong and they play inside basketball. Mike, they got 61 of their 69 points either from the paint or from the foul line. That's really impressive. They dictated the way the game should be played. And I also think this. I think that they are better than Michigan State. They are better than Illinois. They are better than Purdue. They are better than Iowa. They're better than Nebraska. And all those Big Ten teams won at least 2 games in this tournament. So Michigan, and I'm not going to go back into terms of eras, but I'm going to say that this is a really good team and give Dustin May a lot of credit. He took Florida Atlantic to the Final Four a couple of years ago, 3-4 years ago, whatever it was, and now he's won a national championship. I will tell you this, though, Mike. I wonder how they're feeling at Duke, because Duke beat Michigan in a neutral site game. And if they had held on and beaten UConn, maybe they're in the final, maybe they win that final.
Yeah. I think at Michigan right now, they're pounding their chest a little bit, standing on the top of the world. They earned it. Yeah. They deserve it. Congratulations.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's move to last night's injury to, bow your heads, Victor Wembanyama. He and Paul George collided early in the second quarter. Wemby left with an injury to his left ribs, returned briefly, and then departed for good before the half after playing a total of just more than 15 minutes. Tone, what are the potential impacts here?
Okay, so I don't know the extent of the injury. I'm inclined to say it's not that serious. But, I don't know if he had to miss a playoff game or 2. It's a long time to the playoffs for him because the play-ins have to go through. So I'm not worried about that. But we did talk about Doncic and Reeves. being lost to the Lakers for some time on yesterday's show. So I'm not going to make some categorical statement here because I don't know about this. I think the larger issue for me is how the NBA is wrapped up in knots with this 65-game rule in order to get any postseason awards. You got to play 65 games, right? So 65 games, if you don't play it, you can't be the MVP. You can't be on an all-NBA team. You can't be the Defensive Player of the Year, which Wemby certainly would be. At the moment, I don't think the NBA makes a distinction between load management misses or injury misses. They're just counting the 65. And Wembanyama is at 64, all right? So he's got to play one more game, and he wants to play. But, Mike, can you imagine how terrible it would be if he played in that game just to be eligible for the awards and got hurt further? Be terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be, Tony. It would be. You get all these possibilities now. And you know what? You know how much I love Victor Wembanyama, and this whole season, for me, has been about watching him. But he had some games in there that were probably load management too. So, I mean, so be careful what you do along the way. And that's not directed only at him, but maybe the coaches and the executives and the people who make these decisions now on when and how long to sit people out. So you know how I feel about load management. It's a scourge of the league. It's loathsome. Yep. And so you might get bit by it yourself. Luckily, and you mentioned this, Victor Wembanyama has 2 weeks. He's got the sort of this week, this is the last regular season week, and the play-in time because San Antonio wouldn't play until the weekend, like Saturday, Sunday of the following week would be game one of a playoff series. So in terms of him missing playoff time, and you know what, Tony? That's all I care about. It really is for me. This is selfish now for somebody who loves pro basketball and who's followed this league his whole professional life. This regular season was a massive disappointment on 100 levels. And if the NBA can't figure out how to get its players fully engaged as much or more than the fan base, too bad when it comes to the awards, which I vote on. I hate seeing it tied in knots, but maybe that's what this league deserves right now.
I'm just going to say this, Mike. This kid said he wanted to be the MVP. He said this out loud. This is a kid who wants to be the face of the league, and right now it looks like the league is preventing him from doing that, and I would reach out to Adam Silver and say, what's going on here? What's going on? Let's move to baseball. And last night's threat by Red Sox first baseman Wilson Contreras to take out a random Milwaukee Brewer. Contreras was hit in the hand in the third inning by Milwaukee pitcher Brandon Woodruff. After going to first base, Contreras yelled at Woodruff, and then he slid hard into second, spikes up, and tore the uniform of Milwaukee shortstop David Hamilton around his left knee. After the game, Contreras said, quote, "They always say I'm not trying to hit you. That gets old. So next time they hit me, I'm going to take one of them out," unquote. Wilbon, Contreras' threat, fair or foul?
It's not just fair, it's required. It's baseball. It's been around 150 years. We've seen people stand on dugout stairs and yell at everybody on the opposition, including the other dugout. And that's Hall of Famers at times, yelling at Hall of Famers. They've hit him a million times because he's been on rival teams, the Cubs and the Cardinals, his whole career. Even his brother was on the other team. And they know what they're doing. The Brewers know what they're doing. So I would go full Bert Campaneris on the Brewers if I was Contreras, and that means bat slinging like at Laren LeGros back in like 1977. You want to throw a weapon at me? I got one to throw at you.
Okay, and I hear you, and I know you say that a lot as a Cub fan, and I understand that. Do I have to bring up the specter of Dustin Pedroia, MVP second baseman? Manny Machado basically ended his career with a slide not unlike Contreras' slide yesterday. I understand why Contreras says this. This is a number shocking to me. He's been hit 131 times in his career. He's been hit by the Brewers 24 times. That's 10 more times than by any other team. He's been hit by this pitcher Woodruff 6 times. Now, I understand that because when he's with the Cubs and the Cardinals, they play each other 1,000 times a year. Yeah, I get that, and I get his pain. But to say I'm going to take one of you out, that strikes me as, to me, it's going a little bit far. I mean, if the threat is just to the Brewers, then I think it's manageable because now he's a Red Sox. They're not going to play each other that much. But if I'm an infielder on the Brewers, I go to my pitching staff today and I say, hey, don't drill this guy. I got a whole career to think about. But, Mike, what if his threat is to the entire league? What if the next team that hits him, he goes crazy? And by the way, his brother is the catcher, right, at Milwaukee? What if he takes him out at home plate? What if he takes him out? What? Let's take
Baseball,
a break.
Baby.
Coming
it's
up,
tough.
we'll ask Scott Van Pelt how it feels at Augusta without Tiger and without Phil.
We'll also ask him about defending champ Rory and world #1 Scotty as they head toward the start of play. Tone, it's baseball.
Can I ask you something?
baseball.
You hate NHL fighting, but you like baseball fighting. How do you reconcile that?
No, I don't like fighting. But if you hit me with a baseball, I'm coming at you. I'm coming at you.
It's Masters Week, and we are thrilled to be joined from Augusta by our great friend and our bald brother, ESPN's Scott Van Pelt. Scotzo, let's start with this. No Tiger, no Phil at the Masters for the first time since 1994. How does it feel to you without them there?
Tony, it feels different, certainly, because this is a place that, more than any other in this game, I think invites people to reflect on memories, right? It's 40 years since Jack in '86, and that'll obviously be discussed and remembered throughout this week. But so much of Jack, beyond '86, you go back in time with Jack and Arnold and Gary, and it's black and white pictures maybe, right? Which takes us into the past and history. Tiger and Phil lived all of what they did in vivid, vibrant color, and they've won 8 of them combined. And so it feels the same in terms of a sense of optimism and joy to be here on the property, but it's undoubtedly different. Their presence changes things, even though they would certainly not want to be described as ceremonial. Just seeing them, if you're a patron or if you're covering it, is something that gives you a little jolt, and that will be missing this week undoubtedly.
Well, one guy that won't be missing, of course, is defending champ Rory. And Scott, Tony and I have been wondering about this like all year. Is he good? Does he burn to win it again or add to his total? You've been around Rory for a long time yourself now. What's your sense of him as defending champ?
I'll say the 3 hardest words for any of us to say in this business, Michael. Honestly, I don't know. And I'm fascinated to find out, and I'll tell you why. I think forever this place represented a finish line of sorts, right? To join that fraternity, to finish the race and become a Grand Slam champion. When you saw him fall to his knees and then literally face first on the green, I said to him when I saw him at the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow, I said, seemed like you were holding back more in that dam than you knew until you let it burst. And he said, it's true. And so having completed that, where's the motivation? Is his good still as good as anyone? I don't think we doubt that. I just don't know if where's the fuel tank in terms of want to. And so I don't know what we'll see. Unencumbered by that, untethered from that boulder he was dragging behind him, is he freed up to just go bananas? Wouldn't surprise me. But if he's content, that wouldn't either. So, I mean, it's a lousy answer, but it's an honest one.
No, it's a great answer. All right, so we're wondering about Scotty Scheffler, too, before a different set of circumstances. And all 3 of us know what this is like. His professional life has been interrupted by being dad. And I don't know if he's a diaper changer. I certainly was. But where is Scotty right now? Is he the world #1? Or is he dad right now? We're going to have to put that off for a little bit.
I think we've found that we know this to be true, that he has a ravenous appetite to compete, and he loves to win. But then that isn't what fulfills him. That doesn't complete him in any way, shape, or form. Remember, he went to the Open Championship last year and was like, And then after he won, and they were saying, are you happy you won? Because they were legitimately curious if that was at all satisfying to him. And so I know what fuels Scotty. It's his family and his faith, first and second in whatever order, combination of the 2. But he's a hell of a fighter, and he's a great player. His issue this year, Michael, has been real simple. He's got that one odd round where he's sort of pedestrian. And then the other 3, he's Scotty Scheffler. So one of these weeks, maybe this one, he plays 4 Scotty Scheffler rounds and he puts on the green jacket again, and you go, well, of course. But I don't think the dad thing is going to in any way be a net negative. I think it's a positive for sure for Scotty.
We will get you out of here on this. Who are the contenders in your mind that you are intrigued by particularly this week?
Xander for sure. Patrick Reed's a name I keep hearing. This golf course might be very firm. The weather should be spectacular. Wouldn't surprise anybody if he competed here as a past champion well and perhaps won again. I hope, and we're not supposed to root, but I hope Justin Rose has a chance to win again. Twice in his life, he played 72 holes, got to Sunday evening, and no one was lower. And then he didn't win either time because he lost in playoffs. I'd love it if he won, but the guy I'm picking is Bryson. I think this is a place where you learn the golf course over time. He famously said par was, 67, and everyone is like, is that right? And maybe the golf gods didn't smile on that idea. And he's figured it out some, finished tied for 5th last year, and he arrives having won a couple of times on libs, so his form's really good. I feel like Bryson's a guy, come Sunday evening, I don't know what the size is. He's a big fella, but I believe Bryson could be your Masters champion.
Scott, it's a great pleasure for us that you would come
Scott.
on the show.
Appreciate
enjoy
you taking
yourself
the time,
this
man.
week. Thank you, and enjoy yourself. Thanks.
Thank you, man.
Sports Center at the Masters begins at noon Eastern tomorrow. Let's take one last break, but still to come, Fernando Mendoza makes an unusual decision with respect to the NFL draft.
And Dawn Staley releases a statement about Friday night's issues with Gino.
Wilbon, you change diapers? You don't strike me as a diaper changer. You just
Tony,
don't.
right away. And you know who got me there? You know who convinced me to do it from day one? Stuart
Who?
Scott. Stuart Scott.
Really?
He said, do it.
When did you
Get
stop?
peed
Day
on.
Happy time, people. Happy 47th birthday, Adrian Beltre. Beltre was elected to the Hall of Fame in 2024. Beltre played third for the Dodgers, the Mariners, the Red Sox, and the Rangers over 21 seasons. The most years Beltre had with any one team was 8 with Texas. Over the course of his career, Beltre batted .286 with 477 home runs and 1,707 RBI. Beltre's biggest number was 3,166 hits, 18th all-time. Beltre led the majors with 48 home runs in 2004 when he was playing with the Dodgers. He also had 121 RBI that year, a personal best. Beltre was a 5-time Gold Glove, a 4-time Silver Slugger.
Tony, among third basemen, he's ahead of Ron Santo and Brooks Robinson, which is hard for me to imagine, but he's third behind Mike Schmidt. We all knew that. And Eddie Matthews, if you remember, 512 for Eddie Matthews, I think 548 for Schmidt. But still, that's a hell of a career.
Happy anniversary, Syracuse. On this day 23 years ago, the Orange, led by freshmen Carmelo Anthony and Jerry McNamara, who hit 6 threes in the first half, beat Kansas for Jim Boeheim's only national championship. Anthony and McNamara will be reunited for the upcoming basketball season, as McNamara was recently named head coach at Syracuse, and one of his players is Carmelo's son, Kiyan. Kiyan Anthony was a reserve guard last season, playing 18 minutes a game for Adrian Autry, another fine former Boeheim player who was fired after 3 seasons, a 49-48 record, and no postseason appearances.
That was one great season by Carmelo Anthony, a freshman before that many freshmen had that kind of impact on the game. And then Carmelo was great the next year as a rookie in Denver, and he got cheated out of the Rookie of the Year award because people decided to forecast LeBron James's career. Carmelo, national champion, then should have been Rookie of the Year.
Happy trails to all but one Lady Vol. The Tennessee women's basketball team is in shambles at the moment. 2 seniors are graduating. Every other player with remaining eligibility is in the portal, and nearly the entire recruiting class, once ranked number 10 in the country, has decommitted. This leaves only incoming freshman Gabby Minus. Second-year head coach Kim Caldwell made headlines earlier this season when she said her team, quote, has had a lot of quit in us, unquote, before going 1-8 down the stretch. Well, she called them quitters. Now they appear to have quit on her. I'm not saying she's a bad coach. I'm saying that situation is a disaster.
It is, Tony. Look, I have no idea if the great volunteer, Candace Parker, is interested in a coaching career. But I tell you what, if I'm at University of Tennessee's athletic department, you got to pick up the phone and call Candace Parker. Whether it's as a consultant, whether you want to make her tell you no, you got to get this thing turned around. That's the person I first think of.
One omission, Cubs starting pitcher Cade Horton will have season-ending elbow surgery, Mike.
I'm too depressed to finish the show now. Let's keep going.
All right, let's go to the big finish. We don't have much to go. Dawn Staley released a statement saying she spoke with Gino Auriemma, that one moment does not define a career, and asking everyone to turn the page. Your thoughts?
I knew Dawn Staley would find the high road. It's too bad Gino can't. Juan Soto is out for 2 to 3 weeks with a right calf strain. Big deal?
Of course it's a big deal. I understand there's 162 games, but he's one of the best players in the league, in all of baseball. Come on. Fernando Mendoza will not attend the NFL draft. Will instead celebrate with his family in Miami. Does that surprise you?
Tony, what we know about him so far, that seems consistent so far with him. We're going to know a lot more over the next, a couple of decades. Max Scherzer, your boy, left the Jays 14-2 loss to the Dodgers last night with forearm tendonitis. Are you concerned?
I'm concerned, but Max is not concerned. It's just more piano playing for the Warrior God. Get everything ship-shape. Last one, Scooble, Yamamoto, Alcantara, Skeens, Crochet, The Miz, and Schlittler all pitch tonight. You intrigued?
Scooble and Skeens, Tone. Yeah, it's a great group, but Scooble and Skeens is where I'm going to start tonight, trying to watch those guys perform.
And I want to watch the Nats. Terrible. We're out of time. We'll try to do better the next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. Your Sports Center.